Welcome back to the Deep Six Wrestling Podcast. It is Friday, May 13th, Friday the 13th, and it is Ryan here to do a solo episode of the Impact Power Hour. Angelo is still on vacation, Pat is sick, so you're stuck with me. Woohoo! And this was the post Under Siege show. And the first step on the road to Slamiversary, Impact's 20th anniversary of their first show, as commentary said numerous times throughout this show. And yeah, if you didn't listen to our Under Siege review, go back. It was I believe the last episode in the podcast feed. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast on any of the different platforms: Apple, TuneIn, Stitcher, Spotify, Anchor, all that jazz. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at Deep Six Wrestling. There's no G at the end of wrestling. And subscribe to our YouTube. We try to throw up as much as we can on there. It's just Deep Six Wrestling. So yeah. We are on plenty of different platforms for you guys to follow us. And it's free. Leave us a rating, comments, tweet at us, comment on our stuff. It's free, and we like hearing feedback when we can. So yeah, so getting right into this, we had BTI, and the BTI match was Ace Austin versus Aiden Prince, who I didn't realize had been signed by Impact. I don't know how long ago, but knows that Impact now has a roster page for him, as well as him having it in his bios on social media and stuff. So that's cool. This crowd continued to be weird. We commented about how they were very odd at Under Siege, booing the baby faces, cheering heels. Crowd was not really into Ace Austin. Crowd was very behind Aiden Prince in this, which, again, kind of bizarre. I know Ace Austin's a heel, but from when me and Angelo went to go to the Impact taping back in March, he was being a heel, running down crowds before shows and stuff, or before his matches, which wouldn't be aired. So very odd to see that. But yeah, I thought this was a really good start to the show. BTI matches are normally hit or miss, but when they've got somebody like Ace Austin on it, it's going to be a good match because the man's on fire. This is his last match, I believe, before going to Best of Super Juniors, because I don't think they taped any other matches with him at this taping, and he's already over in Japan, so he won't be at the set tapings tonight and tomorrow down in Florida. Who is going to be at the tapings in Florida, though, is Frankie Kazarian of AEW is facing Chris Saban, they announced on Twitter before the show went on the air tonight. So that's cool. Iceman Intel is basically just Sami Callihan is back and is looking for revenge against everyone who has wronged him, and that is not limited to Moose. So be interesting to see who else he goes after. To start off the show, commentary is in the ring, and they are announcing that there's going to be a Gauntlet for Gold tonight to determine Josh Alexander's challenger for Slamiversary. We then get a video package of previous Gauntlet for Golds, including the ones that named the first NWA TNA champion Ken Shamrock, and the first ever Knockouts champion Gail Kim. We also had a few competitors in this ones going over their strategies and basically announcing that they were going to be in it. And they announced that this is going to be the main event. And as they're talking about this, Honor No More interrupt, and we're told by David Penzer, the ring announcer, that they are out here because Kenny King is in a qualification match for an Ultimate X match at Slamiversary. Commentary, nobody said why this was happening. And then midway through the match, they said that, oh yeah, as you heard, this is a qualification match, and the X Division title will be defended in Ultimate X at Slamiversary. So we got Kenny King versus Chris Bey with Bullet Club and Honor No More wrestlers banned from ringside. This allowed Maria to stay out there, and she was on commentary for this. Basically, her and Matt Raywalt were just running down Chris Bey as this fanboy who's not actually a real member of Bullet Club, that he's just here because Jay White and the Good Brothers need somebody to hold their jackets during matches, get them coffee, get them drinks backstage, and that he's still cosplaying as just a fanboy like he claims he is on Twitter, about how he claims that Bullet Club were one of the reasons he got into wrestling and all that, so they're just using him. Also, again, hyping, or all of commentary talking about how Kenny King was one of the trainers for Chris Bey. Chris Bey looks like he's going to win this. Maria gets on the apron to try to knock him off the top rope. The ref clearly sees this and just tells her to get down, so she gets down, and he looks like he's going to go after her. Chris looks like he's going to go after her. Kenny takes control, hits the Royal Flush, and wins. So Kenny King is our first X Division or Ultimate X competitor for Slamiversary. Interesting. I don't believe they said Ace Austin was going to be in this. So possibly the chance that while he's in Japan, he ends up putting it on the line and he could lose it. I don't know. I think it's safe to say that he's going to win it. But I do know that Clark Connors, who is the first opponent in Best of Super Juniors for Ace Austin, says that if he beats Ace, he would love to come to Impact to challenge for the X Division title, which would be cool. It would continue the New Japan relationship with Impact, and it would be cool to get some new faces for this match, if possible. I think Ace is going to beat Clark, and I also think that Ace should be able to be in this Ultimate X match, still the X Division champ. So yeah, after this match, we get the announcement that the Influence versus Alisha Edwards and Gisele Shaw is next for the Knockouts tag titles. Alisha is banging on Gisele's door to get her to come. Gisele says, "Don't rush me. Why are you always rushing me? Why are you so bossy?" And Alicia's just like, "Our match is next. We need to hurry." And then they go out and get a jobber entrance. Gisele looked really good in this match. Alisha did not look good in this match. The story was mainly Gisele it was dominating both of Madison and Tenille whenever she was in, but then the numbers game kept on coming to ahead, and they finally got the upper hand. They throw Gisele into the corner. Alisha hesitates if she wants to tag herself in or not. Then she does. Gisele rolls out. Alisha hits a flatliner and goes for the pin on Madison. Tenille comes in, and as Tenille comes in, the ref turns to Gisele and prevents Gisele from getting into the ring, saying that she can't get in. And Gisele's like, Tenille's in, what do you mean? The Influence would then attack Gisele, knocking her off the apron before hitting the collab on Alisha for the win. This was a match I don't get why the ref was so against Gisele coming in when there are clearly two people in for the Influence. He claimed they made a tag. It clearly was not made because Tenille was on the outside and Madison was getting pinned. This was weird. I didn't think Gisele and Alisha were going to get this win, as it was announced for no reason, basically, just because Gisele had beaten Madison on the pre-show. There you go. After this, we get a Violent by Design promo, basically confirming that next week the Briscoes are going to, Violent by Design is cashing in their rematch clause on the Briscoes, and it will be Joe Doring and Diener versus the Briscoes, and Eric Young is putting himself into the Gauntlet for the Gold tonight, and he is going to win it, and he is going to win back the title and show why Violent by Design control and have all the power in Impact Wrestling. After this, we get Gail Kim in the ring, and she announces that that this past year, the Knockouts division has continued to make history. Over the last few years, they've done the first ever Knockouts Iron Woman match. They did the first Ultimate X match. They've main evented shows. They've had double champs. And now they are going to have the first ever Queen of the Mountain match for the Knockouts title. And it is going to be between Tasha Steelz, Chelsea Green, Jordan Grace, Deonna Purrazzo, and before she can announce the last person, Tasha and Savannah come back, and commentary is just like, oh, I guess Savannah got out of the Undead Realm. I guess Rosemary let her out after they lost. And the commentary basically, it felt like commentary was like, yeah, this makes logical sense. Why would Rosemary let Savannah out just because Havoc lost? Which is a good point. Why would you do that? But whatever. Tasha claims that Gail is making it personal between her and Tasha. She says that Tasha knows who the final person is, and it's going to be Savannah Evans, and that the reason Gail says it is not Savannah Evans, Savannah will have to wait her turn, because all of the people in this match are former champions, Knockouts champions, and Tasha does not like this. Gail announces that the last person is Mia Yim. Crowd goes wild for this. Tasha basically says this is personal still. You're just mad that I beat the last person from your generation, and that the new generation is taking over. And then she and Savannah threaten Gail. They drop the belts. It look like they're going to attack her. But out comes Mia Yim. The lights go out. Her people come out with the masks and stuff. Mia attacks, and then Deonna attacks, and then Taya and Jordan attack, and I guess Taya's filling in for Chelsea because Chelsea isn't available. The babyfaces stand tall, and this would be announced later that it will lead to a 6-woman tag match next week between Deonna, Tasha, and Savannah versus Mia, Jordan, and Taya. yeah, after this, we get a Rich Swann promo about how he's going to win the title again. He's going to win Gauntlet for Gold. And, you know, everybody really wants a world championship. It's people back here in Impact really want this world championship so much that they're naming all their titles world championships, like the Digital Media Championship, and Matt Cardona calling it a world championship. He says that's no slight on the Digital Media Championship because he would love to get his hands on that, but right now he's only focused on the World Championship, the real World Championship. After this, we get Jay White and El Fantasma versus Josh Alexander and Tomohiro Ishii. I thought this was a really good match. It makes sense. All four of these guys are really good. They kept on hinting at Josh versus Jay happening throughout this match, but they started off, both of them in the ring. Jay exiting immediately, saying he doesn't want to have this, and not here, not now. Him and Josh and Phantasmo have some really good back and forth. Ishii comes in, just wrecks house for a bit, but then the Bullet Club numbers advantage takes over, and they do their scratching up on the back. Phantasmo scratches Ishii so hard that he turns over to the camera, and it looks like he has some red in his fingers. And commentary says that looks like blood. It didn't look like Ishii was bleeding, but yeah, at least not at this point. We go to commercial, we come back. The heels are still dominating, but it wouldn't last for too much longer before Josh and Ishii take control. And Josh actually looks like he's going to win the match on El Phantasmo, but Jay comes in for a Blade Runner. He counters this and hits a C4 spike on Jay, which the crowd was shocked that this happened. I was shocked. Pat was shocked when he watched it with me that happened. And then Ishii came in, hits the vertical brainbuster, and pins El Phantasmo. And then Josh and Jay have a stare down, maybe hinting that down the line we could get Josh versus Jay, which I would think would be a money match. But I don't know if New Japan would let Jay lose. Because I don't think Josh should lose the title just yet. After this, we get a Briscoes promo, and this is absolutely off the walls. We've got the Briscoes repeating that, we kept on saying we're magnets and that we were going to bring them to the championship atmosphere. And now we're representing Impact, who have 40 years of history. We're representing 40 years of history. They keep on saying 40 years, 40 years, 40 years, and no, Impact's only been around for 20. But yeah, that's what you're going to get with the Briscoes. It's just wild shit. And this takes us to our main event, the Gauntlet for the Gold. Our number one competitor is Chris Saban, and number two is Alex Shelley. And they have a good back and forth, as you would expect. Two guys who have worked together for so long, having respect for each other and just knowing each other really well. Eddie Edwards would come out next, and he would last for quite some time in this. Other people, just going down the list of people who would come in here, Vincent would be next at number 4. Macklin would come in at number 5. And then the big surprise entrant, Shark Boy, comes out at number 6. And then we go to commercial after Shark Boy gets some offense in. And he poses with the Motor City Machine Guns. We come back from commercial, and Raj Singh and Trey Miguel have come in at 7 and 8. And also during this, Shark Boy had been eliminated by Eddie Edwards. After this came Bhupinder, who immediately eliminates Raj Singh. Trey Miguel would then get eliminated very quickly after this, because Macklin would eliminate him. Shira would come in, who wouldn't last too long. He'd get Bhupinder on the ropes before W. Morrissey would come out, and W. Morrissey and Shira had a standoff before Morrissey eliminated him. Eric Young would then come out at number 12. followed by the GOAT himself, Johnny Swinger. Swinger would come out on a little cart that was pushed by Zicky Dice, reminiscent to the carts that were used at the Alamo Dome for the Royal Rumble a few years ago. Because of how long of a ramp it was, they needed to have carts to push the guy to bring the guys to the ring, the bigger guys or slower guys. And the entire time, Swinger is just doing the bushwhacker little movements. He gets in immediately, is still doing the bushwhacker stuff, gets thrown out immediately by Eric Young. He lands on his feet and just, again, walks, doing the bushwhackers, gets back in his cart, and Zicky pulls him back. This was fantastic stuff. That would take us to commercial. We would come back, and Heath and Black Taurus had now been added. They didn't tell us what spots they came in or what order. Rhino would be coming out as the commercial ends, and he immediately gores Eddie Edwards, who Heath throws out of the ring. Eddie Edwards also eliminated Alex Shelley during the commercial break, so he got his second elimination there. After Rhino was Moose. Moose would eliminate Heath, he would eliminate Black Taurus, he would eliminate Rhino, all in quick succession before the lights would go out, and Sammy appeared in the ring, hits Moose with the baseball bat. Chris Saban lowers the ropes, and Moose goes out, and then Sammy leaves. So Sammy, not an official entrant, but did get an partial elimination on Moose. Rich Swann would then come in at number 18, and then 19, Matt Cardona's music and Titantron would hit, and Matt Raywalt from commentary would get in, eliminating Rich Swann. The crowd was absolutely pissed off about this. I thought this was fantastic. It'll be interesting to see if Raywalt is joining the major players, if this was just a spot that they just did for no reason. But it does continue the Matt Cardona and Rich Swann storyline a bit. And then finally, PCO would come in. PCO would eliminate Matt Raywalt. And we would be left with Chris Saban, Eric Young, Steve Macklin, W. Morrissey, who took a power bomb or a pile driver from Eric Young almost immediately after he got in, or Eric Young came in, and was on the outside after for a while, being looked at by the referees. Eddie Edwards went over to check on him as well. At that point, kind of breaking character, just to check on him. But Morrissey would come back in. Macklin would eliminate Morrissey. Macklin would be eliminated by Chris Saban. And then that would leave us with our final two, Eric Young versus Saban. And Eric Young would pin Chris Saban for the win. Eric Young will be facing Josh Alexander at Slamiversary. I think there's some questions on why Eric Young and not somebody like Eddie Edwards was put in this spot, because I think, I know me, Pat, Angelo have all said that it seemed like that was going to be the next logical step, was Eddie Edwards versus Josh. Not 100% against Eric being in this spot, but just seems a little bit odd. Next week we've got, in addition to the two tag matches that I talked about earlier, we also have Mike Bailey versus Laredo Kid for the next qualifying match for the Ultimate X at Slamiversary, and also the OG Kingdom of Mike Bennett and Matt Taven versus the Good Brothers, Doc Gallows and Carl Anderson, will happen. I thought this was a good episode. I think the Gauntlet for the Gold was a fun ending of this show. It's definitely not something that normally happens. Again, odd winner, but we've got 5 more weeks basically for build. I don't think the Briscoes are going to lose to Violent by Design next week. So that looks like the Briscoes will still hold that. I'm interested to see who their challengers will be at Slamiversary. Yeah. So that's it from me. Next week we'll be back. Hopefully all three of us, or at least me and Angelo, will be back on it. AEW podcast should be back as well next week, and there might be some stuff for Best of Super Juniors as well. We did our predictions for Best of Super Juniors if you want to go back and listen to that podcast as well. And yeah, thank you guys for listening. Stay safe, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye.